right, let's talk about flaking. I'm Paul, Apex Mindset. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, like the video, get on the email list. Flaking. All right, women and men in the dating market flake a lot more nowadays. Usually, though, I'd say women do it more than the guys do, it seems. Women will remember when guys flake and they'll think that it's equal. It's not equal. The women are more affected by the guys that do blow them off, because those are the alpha guys usually that they wanted to get and couldn't. And the act of blowing somebody off states to that person that you are better than they are and that your desire is lower, which makes them want to qualify to you. So it's impacting to a woman when a dude gives her a taste of her own medicine and ends up flaking on her. Reason flaking is so much more prevalent now is because people are meeting and dating off of the internet, social media, Instagram, Facebook, and dating apps. So there's less of an emotional investment when the initial meetup and the initial conversation is from those platforms. When you meet somebody in person, you do in-person pickup, even if it's just a 5-minute conversation and a quick number exchange, you can build anticipation and build up a little bit more of an investment that way. And then as you pursue setting the actual meetup, that's all part of that building process. So it's very difficult really to do that effectively over, let's say, some dating app. Dating apps are more volume than they are quality. So you got to do a lot of volume to be successful. And it's volume for the women too. So what they tend to do is they tend to not be as invested in you as much. And they tend to not respect your time. Somebody who might be a good person and respectful of someone's time that they know doesn't see you as really a person in a sense when you're across Tinder, right? Or across whatever popular dating app you're using in your area. They tend to not see you as an actual person with things going on in your life, a schedule, important commitments to keep, whatever. So there are a couple of tips here to try to increase that investment. But the thing is, the more invested she is in the initial, before the meetup, the less likely she is going to be to flake. The biggest way to make her invested is your sexual market value. And this is why you need to put effort into your presentation online. Whatever presentation she's going to see, you need to put effort into it. But of course, you do it in such a way where you don't look like you're putting in effort. If they're all just professional, neatly polished photos and a very neatly polished platform, that's certainly better than something put together half-assed. However, it can be a little contrived, maybe look like too much effort went into it. So having some professional photos, having some regular photos too, and just kind of it's a little bit of a skill set or a talent, and maybe I'll do another video to get in detail on this. But you want to make it look like you don't care, but of course you did put a fair amount of effort into your presentation, the photos you selected, the quality of those things. Photos matter more than anything else. And then just all in all, the overall presentation that you're putting out there. If you are channeling them from a dating app to your Facebook or your Instagram page, then you need to be presenting yourself on Facebook or Instagram as a sexually marketable person. You want to be congruent with who you are, because eventually they're going to meet you in person, hopefully, right? And see who you are as a person. And so you don't want to misrepresent yourself, but you want to present yourself in the most positive light, and you want to present yourself as sexually marketable, at least on those platforms that she's going to see and search on and used as a means of figuring out whether she wants to meet up with you or not. So that's the first thing about investment is attraction. But some of you guys, I mean, don't understand. She could see a really attractive guy, a guy who's maybe mid-level attraction, a guy who's maybe less than that, and she doesn't really see the difference between all three of those quite yet because she hasn't, or she doesn't even think about it. She's getting, let's say, 20 or 30 potential people she could meet with that week. The best out of the 20 or 30, it's a crapshoot as to whether or not she vets that out. Who she is attracted to, or who grabs her attention, or who she thinks might be the person to meet up with that week could be not the most sexually marketable person. And so you can't take it personal when a girl doesn't. You should never take anything a chick does personally anyway, for the most part, unless you're deep in a relationship with them. But even then, there should be a level of outcome independence there. But because of the global sexual marketplace and the way it is and how she's inundated with attention, you can't be like, well, genuine burning desire, if she is not dying to meet with me after just one text exchange over Tinder, then she's not worth it. She'll never like me. Okay, that is not the way to think about this, because she doesn't know you. And it's a little bit egotistical, in some ways narcissistic, to think that out of all the attention she's getting, you're going to magically rise to the top from one conversation exchange. Now, you guys meet up and you actually have a in-person connection. Your expectations of where her desire should be at should change and be different. But from initial, you're just one of, hundreds of guys that have hit her up on whatever platform. So who are you, right? You could be the most sexually marketable out of all of them. You could be the best choice out of all of them. But she's inundated with so much, she's not necessarily going to see that. So you can't take that too personal, but you do want to maximize all that stuff. And then in the conversation, there's a little bit of buildup from the initial talk to the meetup. And in that buildup, if you can engage her imagination, that is going to create more investment as well. All right. So you don't want to get into like interview questions. You don't want to get into vetting questions too much from the initial exchange online. What you want to do is goof off, have fun, and have a fun or funny exchange as if you don't care about meeting up with her at all. You can go backwards in these videos. I gave some initial attention grabbing, or how to kind of engage her or initially in a conversation, how to open over text or social media. So there's going to be some buildup from there. You can't go from open, let's meet up, okay, time, place, whatever, in the close. It'd be nice, and sometimes it can't work that way. I've done that before, but that's been a one-off. If you've never met her in person, there has to be some kind of a build-up to create some sort of investment. And so that's why when you open and it's playful, let's say I have a playful comment about the way she's sitting or whatever, how uncomfortable that is. And then we transition into, how these dating apps are stupid. And then we transition into pets for a minute. And then from there, but I'm not spending and wasting time bantering too much with her, giving her away attention, giving her free attention. But there's just some flirting and some investment. But within that, let's say I want to build up imagination with her. I want to get her imagination going. So by being humorous and nonchalant and as if I don't care, but it's a fun conversation that starts to engage her imagination and her fantasy of what it would be like to be with me, and some indirect sexual undertones, and the way that I'm conversing or presenting things with her would demonstrate or show that meet up with me could be a lot of fun. And so that is, the more I can engage her imagination, engage her fantasy, and this is within a first few a couple of lines of an exchange, the more invested she'll be in wanting to meet up with me. So I'll stop that there because I know I need to do a video where I show examples and actually talk about exactly what I'm talking about here. But in this one's going to be about preventing a woman from flaking. So I got to stay on topic. But that being said, so your initial open and that initial banner, the more fantasy you can create, the more you can engage her imagination, the more invested she'll be, because she doesn't have you in person and she doesn't have you there in front of her for her desire to rise or for a connection to be built. So all you have really is fantasy and imagination with her. So that is what, in a very few short lines, you want to be able to build that fantasy and that imagination so that she imagines what it would be like, even if it's just on a small level, to meet up with you and imagines that would be a good experience for her. And that's what's going to cause that investment. So your sexual market value, as well as engaging her imagination in conversation, starting from the opener. And if you notice in my last videos, I gave examples of that, and all of those kind of engaged her brain a little bit, engaged that imagination. That's, by the time you close and set the meetup, she'll be less likely to flake because of that investment. She'll be more invested and more curious about meeting up with you. All right. So now from there, I'm going to use actually an example, because this is more of a email request here, or a sponsored video request, I'll call it, from one of my clients. So he's on one of the dating apps. He's a couple dating apps, I think. He's dating people. So he's setting things up for the weekend for her, and I'm going to go over the exchange here. But I'll give you an example because he was asking advice on this. So he wanted to know, well, what's a good takeaway here after this exchange? So I'll read the exchange here. Let me open it up. Okay, so I'll change names, of course. He said, hey Becky, when are you free this weekend? All right, so that's the part I can see. She responds one word: Saturday. All right, I'd like to skip the COVID coffee date and move to the part where I make you dinner at my place. Now, I suggested to him that was good, but he should have ended the text there. He continued with, though, I was thinking chicken, bacon, cheesy pasta with garlic, bread, and some wine instead. Interested? ? So that part I would have left out. I don't ask questions. I tell her what's going to happen. When I present things like, hey, let's go out. Well, I just said it right there with video without even trying. Hey, let's go out Saturday, right? Whatever. I don't go, would you like to go out Saturday? Are you interested in going out Saturday? These are things I remove from my vocabulary. That's where I'm more or less asking permission rather than making an assumption that she wants to see me and then moving along on that assumption. So the alpha leadership thing to do is just to give direction, not in a jerky, egotistical, domineering manner, but just to give that direction, and then she follows the lead, or she objects, right? Maybe she says, oh, I don't know about that, or whatever, right? So she can always object. She has her own free will. But other than that, I'm telling her where we're going, what we're doing. Now, I'm also paying attention to her needs, her wants, and what she might want when I make that decision. So my opener, I mean, if I was going, he said, all right, I'd like to skip the COVID coffee date and move to the part where I make you dinner at my place. I would have ended it there. I don't need to ask if she's interested. I'm saying that as a matter of fact. Okay. And if she's interested, of course, if that sounds good, if she's following my lead, she'll say, yeah, that sounds amazing. Let's do that. And then I just send over time, place, and I'll see you then. Okay. All right. So that's how I would have closed that one. But we're going with what he wrote. So he wrote the rest of that. The problem with that too is now you're qualifying to her. So I'm telling her what great meal I'm going to make her, as if I'm not important. The message, the underlying subcontext or subcommunication of that is that I'm not good enough for you to want to just come over and see. I have to make an elaborate, tasty dinner for you, and I have to do something for you in order for you to want to come over and see me. And so I want you to notice how us as men, because this is an alpha guy, he's not like some weak guy or anything, this client of mine. So I want you to know, I hope you're listening, client, you know who you are, don't get all mad at me. Yeah, he's a good dude. He is an alpha guy, but I want you to notice how we can naturally fall into beta behaviors in a beta frame of mind where we are transactional with a woman. We do it as men without even noticing it. When you get good at this stuff, you'll start noticing it and you'll stop doing it. And then you'll see it all around you. It'll be like, you won't be able to not see it, okay? But this is a great example because he is presenting this great meal. What that is like, think of it like chimpanzee offering fruit, beta chimpanzee offering fruit to female so that she, has sex with him for those provisions, right? That's kind of what it is, isn't it? So it's kind of what it is. Now, so that's why I wouldn't have said that, right? I could be making, spam and toast or whatever. Who cares? I'm the person you're over coming to see, right? That's the message you want to send. So she says, well, damn, sounds good to me. All right, which is cool. That's an affirmative. Don't know, though, of course, if it's an affirmative on the wonderful provisions he's providing or if it's because he's the guy that she wants to bang. Maybe a little bit of both, right? But again, I would have ended it differently. And it's these small things, guys. These small things are what matters. Death by 1,000 cuts. I think that was, who was that? Was that Carl maybe from Gendernomics? Was he the one who thought of that? I don't know, but it's a great thing to think about. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It's betatization by 1,000 concessions. These little things all matter, and so all these little things do is add up over time. So you want to eliminate these little beta behaviors as much as you can in your communication. It's going to help you tremendously with women and how they see you and if they see you as attractive or not. So he goes, cool, Saturday, 7:45 at my place. Right, good, that's good. She says, yeah, I will let you know if anything comes up. Smiley face. Okay, so he wants to know what to do with that because rightfully so, he can see that I'll let you know if anything comes up. I love this example because it illustrates how manipulative women are. And I don't mean that in a bad way. We always can show that example where some woman manipulates a guy and then, cucks him and bangs somebody else and makes him take care of her baby or whatever, right? And goes through terrible divorces. Like that's all the examples of terrible, dark manipulation. And then women turn around and go, not all women are like that, right? Okay, we got that whole scenario that we often play out, but this is great because this isn't this terrible, dark scenario. But it illustrates how manipulative women are naturally without trying. It never ceases to amaze me. People ask, or women will want to ask, well, what is it? Do you think? What do women do that's better than men? Right? Like what if women can't do anything that a man can do, if genders aren't equal, well, what is it that a woman can do better? Now, there's a lot of things women can do better, that are wired. Women are wired to do a lot of things better than men that are positive, that could be seen as more as positive, if you will. But manipulation. One thing that women do much better than men is manipulation. They're much better at it. The average woman, without even trying, is 10 steps ahead of you when it comes to manipulating you. This is why you lose arguments with women. This is why you don't argue with women, actually. And if you can do a search, it was a while ago, I did an excellent 2-part video series on handling an argument with a woman. And so these are why is it that even when you win an argument with a woman, you'll lose? Have you noticed that? Why is that? Because they're so good at being manipulative and they're better than you at it. I mean, that is their genetic wiring. Okay. So if anyone who wants to deny genetic wiring and how the important role it plays, it just makes me laugh, because all you have to do is look at how good women are at arguing, manipulation, and changing the whole framework of a discussion to make the other person bad and make them look good. It's just it's incredible. Just to me, I just sit back in awe sometimes, and I'm mesmerized. Even at decades of being in this game and understanding some of this stuff, I just, it never ceases to amaze me. Anyway, and by the way, it's not a slam. Guys are better at being aggressive and using intimidation to get what we want. That was our default mechanism. Just being the weaker, physically weaker sex, women couldn't use aggression to get what they want necessarily most of the time, so they had to use deceptiveness and manipulation to get what they want. And from an evolved perspective, even when you look at how their brain connects things together and works, they're just so much better at it than we are. So that just is something to keep in mind. They will always be a step ahead of you. But so let's analyze that sentence. Yes. Yeah. I'll let you know if anything comes up. So what is it? She's agreeing to go out with them or to meet up with them on that Saturday, but she is also setting up the flake. You see, so in this day and age, now with more internet stuff happening to set dates up, women flake more. They flake, and they set up multiple options. They will double and triple book sometimes, and then they will flake out and pick the best option. They'll pick a guy to meet on Saturday, and then if they think a better option comes along after the 30, 40 guys are also messaging, then they'll flake on that guy, and then they'll meet up with the other guy. And I'm not slamming on women for doing that, actually. I'm just saying that's the way it is. Many times, a girl had plans with another dude, meets me, we hit it off, she cancels plans with that dude, ends up going out with me. Very normal. I'm had it happen the other way around too, so I'm not super alpha Chad who always gets the girl. I mean, I just get the girl most of the time. All right. But there's been plenty of times where I've been canceled on. Okay. And there's been plenty of times because they'll tell me about it. That they were like at some point, maybe not that first encounter, but maybe 2 or 3 encounters later or after we've banged, she'll say, yeah, I had plans. I was supposed to go on a guy's boat that weekend, but I realized I better make a decision here because I thought we were going to, hit it off. I have had that happen, or I was supposed to go, on this trip. I was supposed to go with this guy here. I was supposed to do that, or I was supposed to go to this thing. And I figured I better make a decision here after I met you and decided not to go with that. So what is that? Well, that means she told the guy, yes, we're going to go hang out. We have definite plans. All right. And then she canceled to be with a guy that she saw was more alpha and better. That's what they do. Okay. That's okay though. Don't be mad about it. Just be the guy that she's canceling to be with, right? That's the answer. Don't be the guy she cancels on. And then also don't be afraid to give them a taste of their own medicine. And so that's going to get into what the rest of my advice is here. So what she's saying is, and this is what women will often do, she has plans to go off and do, I don't know, some festival with another guy and whatever, right? Or go on some dude's boat. I'm in Michigan, so people jump on boats all the time. So she's going to go on some dude's boat and get drunk and railed out or whatever. And then she meets a better option, a better guy, hotter dude, whatever. And she's like, I'd rather be with this guy this weekend. So she'll cancel. But when she said yes to boat guy, she was probably ambiguous about it. She probably gave an answer like this. Yeah, well, I'll let you know if anything comes up. Or, yeah, that sounds good. I don't have anything going on right now, but we'll talk more. Right. She gives that opening to flake. So if she is not high burning desire for you, where she's like, okay, this is my alpha option. When she's not sure about it, she will leave those doors open to flake. So when she does flake, now she can't be seen as a bad chimpanzee for canceling plans. Okay, so that is what they do. Now, you can't get offended by that if they do that to you, particularly if you're just meeting her online, if you never met in person. She probably does that to most, if not almost all guys she'll do that to online, because she doesn't have a built up emotional or any kind of investment yet, right? It's very low investment when you just had a few exchanges over words or text, right? Than actually having an in-person meeting, actually having some physical escalation. Certainly after sex happens, right? These are all things that even just a simple coffee or a few drinks with somebody and kind of hitting it off is way more of an emotional investment than meeting somebody on a dating app that you've swiped on and having a few exchanges over text. So you can't get mad when they do this. This is just what they do. But what you can do is protect yourself from it and set yourself up for success and give them a taste of their own medicine. So when I get something like that, when I would get something like, I'll let you know if anything comes up, it's a yes. Okay. It's not necessarily a hell yes. So how do I mean, from that, I would have just given a thumbs up on the text. Now let me go backwards. If I was doing this right from the beginning, because that's where everything builds off of itself. So advanced game, which by the way, guys, that's what I'm covering here, is advanced game. A lot of my friends will cover the basics. I can cover basics as well, but a lot of you guys listening to me right now know the basics and are looking for more information, and you're looking to latch on to the mental framework so you can run your own game and have success with women without trying to follow some contrived formula, right? Instead of knowing the principles rather than just LARPing the steps. So that's where this is. We're talking advanced game here. This is why I get so detailed. So let's say you're okay. I would have ended that text about dinner with, let's skip the coffee date and move to the part where I make you dinner at my place. Period. So from there, she says, sounds good to me. I send over the time, the place, right? And then she says, all right, I'll let you know if anything comes up. So she agreed to go, but she's going to let me know if anything comes up. She's giving her permission to flake. So if she is giving herself permission to flake, what I'm going to do is set it up where I have alternate plans that night, because she has let me know that if something better comes along, then she's going to cancel. So I give her a taste of her own medicine. I do exactly the same thing. And which, quite frankly, a guy with a lot of sexual options, he cancels on women all the time. So I set up, I look to set up other plans. Now, depending on the level of it, I might set up plans with another chick. I might have where I go out and meet another chick planned for that night. Maybe a newer chick or something. I don't know, maybe somebody. I'll set up plans with somebody else if those plans come along. Or I'll just set up plans with myself. Maybe, we're kind of in this COVID lockdown mess again, but maybe I'm going to go to one of the outdoor bars with where I can have a cigar or something, and I'm just going to make plans with that. Or I'll make plans with another friends or something. So I'm not going to sit here and hold on to that Saturday night with her, because she has set up the flake. I'm going to set up alternate plans. So that's what I'm going to do. So if she flakes on me, cool, no big deal. I got other plans now. All right. If I have a second date set up and if she flakes on me, fine. I got another girl I'm meeting up with. Now let's say that she doesn't flake on me, and so we're kind of coming up to it. Here's how I check on that. So let's say it's a Tuesday that I set up the Saturday hangout. Maybe Friday, I shoot her a quick message and I say, hey, just grabbing stuff for tomorrow. Is there any type of food that you don't like? All right. So instead of telling her this great meal I'm going to make her and qualifying to her like in the beginning, I end up just sort of sending that little quick message on a Friday or something. I'm shopping, any type of food you don't like for tomorrow. So now I'm giving her an opportunity to be like, oh, I don't like mushrooms or whatever. She's further committing and investing into meeting with me that day. And because this is all involving an online exchange, again, we're advanced game now, so you have to think through this stuff. Those of you guys with hard, fast rules, your head's going to explode. You're not going to be able to handle it. But when you're dealing with advanced game, this is why, because we have low investment over the internet, over text. If we met in person, I wouldn't necessarily do that, okay? But I mean, depends on the circumstance, but over low investment, over text and stuff, she could just cancel it with me a few hours before on that Saturday. I've already picked up a bunch of stuff for dinner, and now I'm sitting here with no other plans, and she's going out with another guy that she wants to be with more than me, right? So instead of me being on the losing end of this as a dude, I'm going to be on the winning end. So I'm going to prepare for dinner or whatever, but I just give her that little text, hey, whatever. And so she tells me what, oh, I don't like onions, or I don't like mushrooms or something, or I'm allergic to this. Cool. Or I know what I'm making us. See you tomorrow. Right? And that's it. A quick exchange. So now if she had canceled, or if she was thinking about, like, she's a bad chimp now, right? If she's letting me go shop and pick stuff up, you get what I'm saying? And a lot of these women don't care. That's fine. I don't want the woman that doesn't care about that. I don't want her as a plate. So it's a good way to vet out. If she cancels a few hours before, after I made a point that I was picking up stuff for our dinner, then that's not somebody who's very considerate, and I don't care about her. So I'm glad I'm glad I'm not wasting my time and energy. I'm glad I'm not giving her the gift of my male body parts, and that gift will go to another woman. So cool, right? Chances of her flaking now is a lot less, though. All right, a lot less. Women need to be seen as good chimpanzees. They want to feel like, they're a good chimp, and if she now kind of does something different or whatever, just doesn't feel like it, whatever, she's less likely to flake on you. Now let's say she does flake. Cool, I got plans with another chick. Maybe I tell that chick, we were supposed to meet up for a drink. Why don't you come over for dinner instead? Whatever, I don't even care. Okay, or maybe I just meet up with her for that drink. Or let's say I have plans now. I've double booked. Okay, I've doubled booked. It's Saturday afternoon. Which girl do I like best? Was it the second girl or the first girl? Doesn't matter. What I'll do is I'll cancel with one of them. Now, this sounds really savage and terrible, but guess what? Women do this to you. Women do this all the time. This is their normal mode of operation. So you might as well just give them a taste of her own medicine. And actually, the person I'm likely to cancel with is the person that set the flake up in the first place. So this first girl who gives me I'll let you know if anything comes up, and then I set up a date with a second girl, and she's more of a hell yes girl, who do you think I'm going to cancel with? Even if I like the way maybe this one looks a little bit better than the other one, I mean, if they're both relatively, I'm not going out with 5s and 6s anyway. So if I'm dealing with an 8.5 and a 7.5, I'll take the 7.5 that is more of a hell yes girl every time. I'm just going to have a better time with her, right? And so I might then Saturday, like, oh man, something came up. I'm so sorry. Whatever. We'll have to do this another time. So now what does that do for her? Frustrates her, number one. Number two, you just called her the previous day picking up food for your dinner, right? So now you have plausible deniability. She's not going to ask you, but she doesn't think you had double booked a date necessarily. She does think that maybe something reasonably came up and that you really were interested in seeing her. But what it also does is it brings your value up. Okay. If you're willing to cancel on her or able to cancel on her, and it's not and that's something you're able to do, which is something that she was clearly prepared to do to you. Okay. If Alpha Chad Dream Guy was going to take her out and called her Saturday afternoon and said, hey, come over for the Bang Fest, she would have been calling you Saturday afternoon saying, oh, my grandma got sick. Something came up, right? Exactly. So I have no remorse or qualms about doing this because they do it to you. And this is the game now. So it's savage, right? I'm always more savage. That's how this works. So cool. It brings your value up, which means that you could be like, this thing came up. I'm really sorry. If you're free tomorrow, let's get together. Otherwise, let's do it another time. So now you can throw in the alternate, and she's more likely to take the alternate. She's more likely to move around her plans for you. Now she's in a process of qualifying to you. Because you canceled on her, she sees you as higher value now. She may be mad at you. She may be frustrated with you for doing it or whatever, but you have all the plausible deniability. In other words, she has all the ammo for her rationalization hamster to send her in a direction of, well, okay, he really wants to see me clearly, and you may really want to see her, but the fact of the matter is she set the flake up in the beginning. So when someone sets up the flake, I prepare for that. Now, if she was a hell yes girl, I wouldn't be double booking and all that stuff. Not me personally, but because she's not, and because she's setting up the flake right from the get go, well, I'm going to set up the alternate plan then too. And maybe the alternate plan is because I just don't, maybe I'd rather see her. So, okay, we're still going to have that dinner and I don't cancel. But if I get something better coming along, just like she was going to do to me, I'm doing something better. And I'm going to cancel on her, reschedule for another time. It brings your value up when you do that. Now you're the person that she has to qualify for too. Now you're the person whose time she has to earn. So that is how you handle it when a girl is setting up a flake and you can smell it. Okay. Now, if it doesn't sit well with you to double book a date, if you feel like that's not the thing that you would like to do from a standpoint of your personal values, I totally get it. I get it. Understand that they are doing that to you, but I understand too, you got to keep your value as a man regardless of what a woman does. So if that doesn't sit well with your values, I will say often doesn't sit well with my values. Oftentimes that's not the strategy I use, but I've done it sometimes and I'm glad I did it. Those times I did it. So use your best judgment as to whether or not it's a strategy you want to employ. Okay. Now, the other way you can do this, though, is you just set up alternate plans. That's what I did more often. I usually set up plans to go out and go do something social. Oftentimes where I could pick up a new girl, because I'm more of an in-person pickup guy than an internet guy. So that was usually what I would do. I wouldn't necessarily double book all the time, right? So for me, a lot of times it felt better because it felt better to not have to juggle a couple women. Just in terms of effort too is better. I know I could go out and find another woman if I wanted to, or just go out and have a good time without a woman if I wanted to. So for me, like I'd set that, let's say, come over for dinner thing. And if she flaked on me, cool. I had other plans to go out then and do something else. And oftentimes I would meet other women when I went out and it was fine, or I just had a better time. It didn't matter. And so that would be the other thing too. The point is you're not sitting at home waiting and sad if she cancels with no sexual options while she sets you up for backup position to Chad after she committed to coming out with you. Women will do that. That's a deep dark secret about women is they will do that more often than not. And they will give themselves the rationale. They'll open the door to give themselves the rationale to justify that behavior. They don't even realize or want to admit that is really kind of manipulative and deceptive, but it's just their nature and it's just what they do. And I'm telling you that they all do it. And I'm not trying to crap all over women. It's just really good women that are great to be around, that are good people, good human beings. This is something that they do. All right. Until their investment gets a little bit higher than just a text exchange with a guy or just a quick meetup with a guy, even this is just what you're open for. And in this day and age, in 2020, in the global sexual marketplace, flaking is a lot more prevalent than it ever has been before. So you got to be prepared to handle flaking the right way, which is not to care about it, not to get upset about it, have an abundance of women, and set it up for yourself where if it smells like a flake, you have other options. And you'll have a great time with or without her. And when you present that, and when that's your frame of mind, that'll come through in your subcommunication as well. So that girl who flaked on you, that you end up, or that girl who is setting up the flake that you end up canceling on, or even if that girl cancels on you and she's the one who flakes, that next communication or whatever, or let's say she's somebody that isn't just a dating app girl, somebody that you've met someplace or you've seen in town or wherever, you'll convey through your body language, your subcommunication, and your behavior that you're the great time. You're the party bus. And she's either on the party bus or she's wandering around the streets trying to figure out what to do, right? So you're the person who is fun. You're the person who's the good time. You're the person that she needs to be around. That's the message you convey when you're outcome independent. You don't care about this stuff. But if you're sitting at home cooking dinner or getting ready to cook dinner or shopping for a girl to come over and you're excited because she's pretty and she seems cool, and then she just flakes on you for Chad or someone she thinks is more Chad than you, it's real hard to be positive about that. It's real hard to not think women are crap after that happens to you a few times, right? It's really hard to have a good mindset and to be like, well, this will be fine. I'm the party bus. How are you thinking about yourself as the party bus if you're wallowing in your own disappointment while she's going out with another dude? You see what I mean? Like, that doesn't quite work, does it? So you have to set yourself up for success, both with your actions and logistically, as well as with your mindset. Okay, the two kind of go together. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this gave you some game tip. Some advanced game tips are in here and in this video. That's why it's so long. We get deeper into female psychology and how they make these decisions. That's what this channel provides for you. All right, versus other pickup artist channels that just kind of give you the basics or whatever, show a cool infield, a couple cool infields or whatever it may be, and then but they're not really conveying the principles and allowing you to really digest the stuff and increase your understanding so you could really be better and at a more advanced level with women in the global sexual marketplace, because that is where you have to be. You want to be successful nowadays, you got to step your game up. It's just, that's all there is to it. Thanks again for the support.